Hello everyone, myself Vinay Kumaram. I am pursuing PhD in physics. So in this particular YouTube channel, I will be teaching physics, chemistry and mathematics starting from 8th standard till 12th standard. So if you want to learn physics, chemistry and mathematics, then please do subscribe to my channel. So in my previous video, I was actually teaching the exercise questions of the chapter 7 of 9th standard science subject. That was on motion. So in my previous video, I have solved the question number 1 and 2. So you can refer my previous video to get answers for question 1 and 2. So in this particular video, we will be looking at the next question which is there in this particular exercises. So coming to the third question in this particular exercise. So here there is a student Abdul who will be driving to his school at average speed of 20 km per hour while going in the morning. But in the evening while coming back to home, the traffic will be very less and his average speed will be 30 km per hour. So when Abdul will be going from his house to school in the morning, so his average speed will be equal to 20 km per hour. But the same Abdul, when he is returning back to his home in the evening, then his average speed. So this particular average speed is from school to house. So when he is traveling from school to house, his average speed will be 30 km per hour, because when he will be returning to his home from school, the traffic will be very less at that particular time. So his average speed will be more, that is 30 km per hour. Now you have to calculate the total average speed, including the morning average speed and the evening average speed of Abdul. So now you might have thought that you can just straight away take the average of the average speeds. So that is 20 plus 30 divided by 2. No, you can't do that, because here when you are considering average speed, you should consider the total distance and the total time taken to cover that particular total distance. So here straight away you cannot take average of 20 and 30 kilometers. So for that you can actually consider this as Abdul's house and this has Abdul's school. So let us say there is d distance between house and the school of Abdul. So when this particular d distance is there, this will act as the total distance while traveling from house to school, and the same distance will act as the total distance while traveling from school to house. Now we are actually calculating the average speed of Abdul starting from home, reaching to his school, and again from his school reaching back to his home. So now the total distance will be equal to 2d. So now we will consider the average speed 1. So now what is the average speed 1? Average speed 1 is 20 km per hour. So here average speed 1 means the average speed of Abdul when he will be traveling from his house to school. So that average speed is 20 km per hour, and the distance, average speed is actually the distance, the total distance divided by the total time. So the distance between his house and school is d. So average speed 1 can be written as d by t1. T1 is the time taken for Abdul to reach from his house to school at average speed of 20 km per hour. So that is equal to 20 km per hour. So now you have average speed 1. So now you have d by t1 is equal to 20 km per hour. So here you can take t1 to RHS and you can bring 20 to LHS. So when you do that, it will be d by 20 is equal to t1. That means t1 is equal to d by 20. Now what is the average speed 2? So average speed 2 means the average speed of Abdul when he is traveling from school back to his house. So what is that particular average speed? So that particular average speed is 30 km per hour. So here also the distance will be d only, because the same distance he is traveling from school to his house. So distance d will be there as it is, but now his average speed has increased. So that means he might have taken less time. So less time means here he will be taking only t2 time, and always remember here t2 is less than t1, because morning his average speed was 20 km per hour, but evening his average speed is 30 km per hour. So that means his speed has increased. So when speed has increased, then to cover the same amount of distance, he will take lesser time. So that's why T2 will always be less than T1. Don't bother much about this particular T2 less than T1. Just bother about d by T2 as the average speed 2. That is the average speed when Abdul will be traveling from his school to house in the evening. So d by T2 is equal to 30 km per hour. So now we have d by T2 is equal to 30 km per hour. If you take T2 to RHS and 30 to LHS, then it will be d by 30 is equal to T2. So now you have T2 and we also got T1. T1 is equal to d by 20. So now we know that Abdul has traveled from his house to school and he has traveled back to his house from school. So the total distance which he will be covering, now we have to calculate average speed of both of them. So that's why we have to take the total distance. So what is the total distance here? He has traveled d distance to reach his school and he has traveled d distance again to reach back his home. So that means here to calculate the final average speed, the total distance is very much required. So total distance divided by total time will be there. So now here what will be the total distance? So for average speed I will write AS. So average speed will be, this is not average speed 1 or average speed 2. This is the total average speed when you incorporate both the average speeds. So now what is the total distance? Total distance will be d plus d because he has traveled d distance to reach his school and again he has traveled d distance to reach back his home. So d plus d will be the total distance divided by what is the total time. He has taken different times because his average speed has increased while returning back to home. So that means here time are different. So T1 is the time which he took to reach from his house to his school and T2 will be the time which he will be taking to reach back to his house from his school. So T1 plus T2 will be the total time taken by Abdul to cover the entire distance. So average speed will be equal to 2d divided by T1 plus T2. In the place of T1 we can write d by 20 because here we have got T1 as d by 20 and T2 as d by 30. So here d by 20 plus d by 30 will be there in the place of T1 plus T2. Now if you solve this you will get the average speed. So here 2d is there in the denominator. Here you can see here also d is there, here also d is there. You can take d common from both of them. So when you take d common from both of them, what will be remaining inside the bracket? Inside the bracket 1 by 20 plus 1 by 30 will be remaining. So now you can take LCM of 20 and 30. What is the LCM of 20 and 30? So now you can take 10, 2, 3 will be there. So 3 2s are 6, 6 into 10 is 60. So 60 is the LCM. You can multiply that. So 2d divided by d. So 3 plus 2 divided by LCM will be there. That is 60. So here d and d gets cancelled with each other. And this 60 which is there in the denominator, in the denominator will go to the numerator. So that is 2 into 60 divided by 3 plus 2 is 5. So now 60 into 2 is 60 into 2, 120. So 120 divided by 5. So here 5 ones are, 5 2s are 10. So 2 will be remaining, 20 is there, 5 4s are 20. So 24 kilometer per hour is the total average speed when you incorporate both the average speed 1 and average speed 2. So now here you have observed that while calculating average speed, the total average speed, you cannot straight away take the average of two average speeds. So again you have to calculate the total distance and again you have to calculate the total time and then you have to take the average speed. So when you do that, you will get 24 km per hour as your answer. Coming to the fourth question, here there is a big lake and in this big lake there is a boat, and this particular motor boat initially it will be at rest. After a certain time it starts traveling and accelerates at 3 meter per second square. So when it accelerates at 3 meter, this is actually 3.0. So 3 meter per second square acceleration. With that particular acceleration, it will travel for next 8 seconds. So, and it reaches a particular point. So let's say this point was A and it will reach the point B. So here it is accelerating at 3 meter per second square acceleration, and it has traveled for 8 seconds to reach point B. That means here they have given acceleration, that is 3 meter per second square, and time as 8 seconds. And here you should notice that boat was at rest before it came into motion. So that means initial velocity also they have given, that is 0. Now based upon this particular data, you have to calculate how much distance this boat has traveled. That means from its initial position to its final position after 8 seconds, where it has reached. So to calculate that, you can use the equations of motion. So now to calculate the total distance, we have one particular equation, that is S is equal to ut plus half at square. So here we know that u is 0, so this entire term becomes 0. So that means here S will be equal to half at square. So what is acceleration? So S is equal to half. What is the acceleration? That is 3 meter per second square. So here you should remember, always you should check whether the data given is in SI units or not. Only when it is in SI units you can calculate. If it is not given in SI units, you can convert the whatever values given for that particular physical quantity into their respective SI units, and then you can proceed with the calculations. So now they have already given 3 meter per second square, that is the SI unit of acceleration. Meter per second square is the SI unit of acceleration. So straight away you can substitute 3, and time they have given in seconds, that is also in SI unit. So we can write 8 square. So S is equal to half into 3. 8 square means it is 8 into 8. So now 2 ones are 2, 2 fours are 8 will be there. So 8 fours are 32. So S is equal to 3 into 32. So when you do 3 into 32, it will be 96 meter. So 96 meter distance this particular motor boat has traveled in 8 seconds at the rate of 3 meter per second square acceleration. So coming to the sixth question, here they have given a graph. Based on this particular graph, you have to answer the 4 questions which they have given in this particular sixth question. So coming to the first question in this particular sixth question. So here, just by looking at this particular graph, A has started somewhere in between 4 and 8. So let us assume that particular distance has 6 kilometer and somewhere it has reached around 12 kilometer. So that means if you consider A, if you calculate the distance, it has reached 12 kilometer and it has started at 6 kilometer. So 12 minus 6 will be equal to 6. Now if you consider the time, so here it has taken more than 1.6 hours. So let us assume that it might have taken 2 hours. So now distance is 6 kilometer and the time taken to reach that particular 6 kilometer distance is 2 hours. So based on this graph, I am roughly assuming the distance and roughly assuming the time to calculate some approximate speed of that particular A, B and C. So now what is the approximate speed? So we can take distance by time. So it has traveled 6 kilometer in 2 hours. So 6 divided by 2 will be equal to 3. So 3 kilometer per hour is the speed of A. Now if you consider B, B has started from 0 and it has ended almost somewhere near 12. So that means here total distance traveled by B will be equal to 12 minus 0, that is equal to 12 kilometer. And if you calculate the total time, here approximately B has taken 1.2 hours. Just by looking at that graph, you can predict the approximate distance and approximate time taken by A, B and C. Based on that, approximately you can calculate speed, and from that particular data you can actually compare the speeds of A, B and C, and you can see which is the fastest among A, B and C. So that is what I am doing here. So here 1.2 hours is the total time taken by B, approximate value. So speed of B will be equal to 12 divided by 1.2. Here point is there in the denominator, so 1 0 you have to add. So here 10 kilometer per hour is the speed of this particular B vehicle or B. So now if you consider C, here approximately you can see that C has started somewhere in between 0 and 4. So let us say it has started from 2 kilometer distance and it has ended at 12 kilometer distance. So now to calculate the total distance, you can do 12 minus 2, which is equal to 10 kilometer. If you want to consider the total time also, here you can roughly assume that it has taken slightly more than 1.6 hours. So let us say it might have taken 1.6 hours only. So we'll just assume that we'll just have an approximate idea about total distance and total time to calculate approximate speed of C. So the approximate speed of C will be equal to 10 divided by 1.6. So here when you do 10 divided by 1.6, 6.25. So 6.25 kilometer per hour. So here I have calculated approximate speeds. So here you should not assume this as the accurate speeds. These are all approximate speeds which I have calculated for A, B and C. Here approximately A has speed equal to 3 kilometer per hour. So 3 kilometer per hour which we have calculated, and the approximate speed for B is 10 kilometer per hour. So 10 kilometer per hour is the approximate speed for B, and for approximate speed for C is equal to 6.25 kilometer per hour. So here you can clearly notice that B has the highest average speed. So that means here B is the most fastest traveling vehicle or object. So now coming to the B question in this particular sixth question, here they are asking, are all three ever at the same point on the road? That means at any point were all three were together. So that means here you should look at this particular graph and see at which particular point all these three were at the same point. So here when B and C were together, at that particular time A was at different distance, and when there is intersection between C and A, at that particular time B was at different distance. That means all three lines are not intersecting at the same point. So that shows all these three objects were not at the same point at the same time. So that means here the answer for B question will be no. So this is all there in this particular video. The next questions which are there in this particular video, I'll be discussing that in the subsequent video. So if you want to learn more physics, chemistry and mathematics like this, then you have to subscribe to my channel. Please do subscribe to my channel and stay tuned with my channel. Thank you.